Okay, we are live now. So hello everybody. My name is Danila. I'm a host of today's online demo pitch. I remind you that demo pitch is a trial pitch dedicated to make sure you're 100% ready to present your project in front of VC funds. Let me introduce you to LATOKEN Investment Committee representative, Jory Chloe and Maxim Uslamin, who will provide you with the practical feedback, highlighting the crucial points investors pay attention to. Let me emphasize two key aspects and then structure. Structure consists of 10 parts: company purpose, problem, solution, why no, market size, competition, product, business model, team, and financials. So let me give a word to the first project today, TesorNet, being represented by Dennis Menazes. Dennis, can you please share your presentation with us and start? Thank you.
Thank you, Danila. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to get this opportunity to share my project details. So just 1 minute. Yeah, so the project I'm talking about would be TesorNet, which would be a distributed resource sharing network where people share their unused resources and get paid in return for their contributions. So this would be a Golang based resource management system, and it would be a mobile first system where everything should be managed and started off with the mobile app, because this is the most most widely used UI. So what would the system manage? So the system would manage the CPU, GPU, RAM, bandwidth, and application specific integrated circuits like tensor chips from Google. So the users would provide these resources, and then developers would come up to make use of these resources. So it would work on a proof of authority consensus mechanism, and obviously there would be a stake involved, a minimal stake involved, to avoid bad actors from taking over the network and destroying the value. So the blockchain would be used to keep track of the resources, the authority, and the minting. Minting would be for the coins that would be available to use and to trade resources. So the one more feature of the of the system would be a ID management system. So you would have a single core ID, and that single core ID would not be shared with anything. It would not interface with any of the applications which are available on the App Store. So this single core ID will be used to manage your other sub IDs, which would have their separate wallets, and depending on your anonymity requirements, would be able to randomize wallet names, wallet IDs, or account names, and things like that. And to tackle the transaction speed and managing things at scale, we would make use of sharding with leaders based on authority. And so there would be 3 coins available with varying difficulty of minting, so that it provides kind of like gold, silver, and copper. So gold would be very difficult to mint, silver would be a little bit easier, and then copper would be the easiest. So this will provide a dynamic flow of funds. Like some people want to save, so it goes into gold, and if they want to use it, they go into copper, like that. And by default, the transactions would be anonymous with options for going public, like when you're dealing with public government of services, or with charities and things like that. So most of the blockchains would try to do the compute on chain. So we would try to secure the off chain computing and then verify it on chain. So the system would consist of hosters, developers, users. So the hosters would provide the resources, and they would also get paid for income. The developers would develop the dApps and use the resources provided by the hosters and charge coins. And then they would also, based on number of users using their resource, using their apps and things like that. And users would use the dApps, and they would either pay coins in a microtransactions or watch ads and cover those costs, as well as earn authority points for taking part in community activities like flagging, flagging NSFW posts and things like that. So the resource costs update weekly, and the available resources, based on the available resources, the cost would increase or decrease. So if there's more available resource, the cost would decrease, and if there's less available resource, the cost would increase. This is dynamic. So to enable sharding, the hosters would be divided into groups, and based on proof of authority, the orchestrators would be assigned to each group, and this would double every level for a group of group of hosters. So that way we can avoid centralization like in EOS. So why we need it? Because there's problems in centralization with Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Now recently with the COVID-19 lockdown, Microsoft is facing very high amounts of workloads, and they are not able to cope up with the sudden influx. Also, they are kind of expensive because there are hardly any number of competitors, so they are able to keep the charges high. One more problem with the centralization is their opaque operations, so they close source, and we don't know how they are managing data privacy and things like that. There's also the problem of anonymity, so you cannot use their services without completely registering with them, providing your address, providing your bank details, and things like that. And lots of journalists and people who need anonymity, they face lots of censorship and government meddling, which can be done through the legal court orders which they serve to these centralized providers. So our competition is like Dfinity, Crowd Machine, and Eogun and Golem. These competitors try to tackle specific issues, but not all the issues I am mentioning, like ID management and CPU, GPU, ASIC, and bandwidth. And they are most of them are based on some other blockchain, which is Ethereum, or which is kind of slow right now. We are waiting for POS to see how fast it gets. So also Eogon had faced some legal issues, and they have halted most of their they have slowed down their development. So the financials, regarding financials, so based on the funding, I would first try to kickstart the development by hiring a blockchain agency, and then slowly offload it to the community developers to develop and get paid on that. And then they obviously, to attract developers, we need to do marketing for them, and to get some initial investors or users for the dApps, there would be marketing done. And there would also be an ICO later on to fund further development or expansion. And then social is again for generating awareness, and project management is just to manage the project timelines. So business model would involve so each dApp would be a project, and then each project would earn from the users and store it in the project wallet. That wallet would then be used to either pay off the developers, or pay for marketing, or pay for UI development, things like that. So this would include founders reward for the core client project, core project, blockchain project. So that way we will be able to give sizable good returns for the founders for their faith in the project. So up until now, I have tried to do social marketing and opened a website, and I did some tried to code a ICO contract in Ethereum, but I haven't been able to generate good results because of limited funds, and also not much. Wasn't able to get in touch with the reputable companies for the marketing and design of the project. So what I'm expecting in the future, this would turn into, it would be mostly crowdsourced. Everything from security to day-to-day lives would all be managed by, would all be supplemented by information from the public, from the community. So also it would be so easy to get into this network that each house would have their own desktop which does just specifically this. So like when you start off think of living in your own flat, you would take a house desktop just for this, to earn passive income. And in the future there would be autonomous communities. There's no need for governments. It would be fully managed by the community, and contracting for any activities and things like that would all be done on these dApps like that. So this was regarding my project. So I've been thinking about this project since almost 2 years now, planning how the design would be, why would users try to use want to use this project, and things like that. So I'm working in IT right now, and I'm well versed with most of the blockchain concepts and latest projects, and how the economics works of the Bitcoin market, and things like that, and different consensus. So it's not like any company can just pitch some consensus mechanism and I will agree for that. So I would be able to easily vet how the development would go. So that's my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jory? You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see.
Okay.
I hear an echo too.
Do you want to start, Jory? Should I start?
Go for it, man.
Okay. Dennis, first of all, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
So obviously, yeah, let's give you some feedback. Let's start from obviously the timing. I don't know if you were aware, if your dedicated Latoken manager told you about the format of the pitch that we have on the Blockchain Economic Forum online roadshow, but that is of 5 minutes, and today's demo was about almost 11 minutes. Obviously that has to be cut in half, and I would start from the introduction slide. I found that there were a lot of bullet points that could be easily divided in 2-3 slides. For example, the 3 different coins part, that would be a great different slide if you separate it. And well, yeah, basically the introduction took you 3.5 minutes, which is basically 70% of the time that you would have available on pitching competition day. Yeah, and another thing that I would do if I were you, I would try to make the whole presentation a little bit more graphic, but in particular the competition slide that was very naked, and I would suggest that you make a list of features slash I don't know, qualities that are important in this industry, or the qualities that your project has that your competitors don't have, and you just show it in a grid. You know, why your project is better, why your project is worthy, and yeah, just make it more graphic and the timing. Basically, that's all. This for me were the main problems. I don't know if Jory, probably he has more comments. You're muted, I think, Jory.
Thanks, Maxim, for the feedback.
Yeah, Dennis,
No worries.
same thing. Introduction was too long, and it was a little too bunched up. Maybe work on that. The thing is, when you get people who are kind of like who are interested in your project, they're gonna want to like contact you and then send all that information to them. Then try to get guys lured in first, and you know, just little things and visuals. You can just get some visuals in there. You had a lot of open space, and it was just kind of blank. Just get visuals in there just for the eye, just to look a little more. I know that's not the whole concept, but you know, that's what sells a little bit. So a little
Yeah, I
more
understand.
visual. But other than that, I get what was going on. Yeah, and the economy and structure was good. And then towards the end, they were getting a little smaller and smaller. Then maybe throw some visuals in there if they're too small, there's nothing in there. Or maybe throw stuff from the introduction over there if you can. Just work with it. And your timing, I think you were
Okay.
like, what, 10 minutes or 11 minutes or something? But that's it. Try to be 5 to 7 minutes. But 5 is obviously the goal. If you're going to run a minute longer, it's okay because you have a lot to talk about. But try to run that short. Try to get the key points. But that's it. Then you got to think a lot of these investors are not fully technical. So you don't have to send all the technical information at them. Kind of talk to them later on about it. Okay. So
Okay.
that's kind of my insight.
So the part of the because I tried to make it as basic as possible. The
Yeah.
explanation. It needs to be more than that, more basic.
No, I mean, it's basic of the introduction. Maybe take some out and just explain it in your words instead of in there, but you just got to cut it short somehow. You just got to figure
Or should
that
I show
out.
it graphically or something like that?
Yeah, that would work too. That could work. You can always try again with us and come back, and then we can, or you can contact me or Maxime, whoever your manager is, and we can go over it with you. I wouldn't mind. Give you like 15 minutes to
Okay.
look at it again. You know, I really don't mind
Sure,
looking
sure,
at it.
that
So
would be really
just
helpful.
try some different things. You know, maybe but the introduction, definitely work on that. It's a little too long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
work on that
I recognize
mostly, and then maybe add stuff to the stuff that isn't, you know, there's not much going on there, or maybe custom slides out. But the timing has to be worked. You got to like cut that in half,
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the main thing. But we don't mind helping you.
We'll make sure that your
Thanks.
dedicated LATOKEN manager will send you the feedback in written form, alongside with the structure of the presentations that we usually recommend, and that most of the institutional investors like to see. And yeah, play with it. As Jory said,
Project idea, like, do you feel like it's too common or?
It's not too
Not
common. It's out there. It's not something we never heard of, but it's, you know, we there's a bunch of projects out there, and even if it is common, if you can make it better, that's you know, if you can make it
Okay.
better, then it's gonna sell better. But I mean, your project during his demo pitches, I might have heard one time before, or maybe I don't remember. We were hearing him all day. I don't know if Maxine has heard this one. I've heard it definitely outside of this pitch, but I don't think over here. What about you, Maxine?
no, actually, I haven't personally, but yeah, as Jory said, there could be hundreds of the same projects in any industry, and then maybe it's one or two that stuck. So
Don't get demoralized in a sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure. All right,
No,
thanks a
no,
lot
no,
for
no,
that.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good luck,
Just,
Dennis.
and that takes us again to the competition slide. If you can show that, you know, the competitors don't have the technology, the features that you do, then you really need to put stress on that and show it graphically to to whoever listens to your pitch, to the investors, to our user base, anyone. That is a great slide that I always recommend to have for people who don't have the expertise, or just see some green ticks on your side and some red crosses on the other side. That's always a good thing. So,
yeah, it's good. All right, sure. I'll work on all that. I've already noted down your feedback. I'll wait for the email as well from your team. And thank you so much again for spending the time.
Thank you, Dennis,
thank you for
being with us and presenting your project. For further steps in regards to participating in pitch competition, please ask your dedicated LATOKEN listing manager.
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining today's demo.
Thank you. Good day.
Stay safe. See you guys.
Stay safe. Bye.